I went through my yoga teacher training, one of the most helpful things that we discussed was the feet and how they're the foundation of a lot of our poses. Obviously the standing poses like Warrior Two, but you can also get value in paying attention to them and things like Down Dog. So we are gonna use the myofascial release balls. I have them over there. If you don't have them, you can use a rolled up ball of socks, or you have the option to just use your hands today. It's not going to be a very long part of class, so if you're like, I don't have those, don't leave. Just know that you can modify here. So we're going to start on your back today. And I'm going to encourage you to start with the knees bent and the soles of the feet flat. I know some of you might prefer to have the legs straight, but just for today, have the knees bent so you can start to feel a connection to the feet and the mat. And I think yoga helps us have this connection to our feet. Most of us wear shoes all the time, so we really don't feel things in the same way. So just notice what you feel, the weight of the legs. Probably feels relatively light in this passive position. Take a couple breaths here. And then reach your arms up by your ears, straighten the legs onto the mat so you're completely flat. Stretch through fingertips and toes. Point the feet like you're a ballerina. And then lower the arms down by the sides. We'll just take some movement with the feet here. So flex the feet, pull the toes back towards your face. And point the toes like you're a ballerina. We'll move with breath. Inhale, flex the feet. Exhale, point. Inhale, flex. Exhale, point. Inhale, flex. And exhale, point. And then hug your knees in towards your chest. Take a rock side to side. And then keep your right knee hugged in. Extend your left leg onto the mat. And then you decide what you do with the feet. They can be still, you can point and flex again, you can circle one way and then the other. Just noticing this connection between the foot and the ankle here. So everything's connected in the body, but I find that when we focus on the feet, sometimes that helps people all the way up through their calves, maybe hamstrings. So we'll start to pay attention to that a little bit today. Let's change sides, hug the left knee in, extend the right leg out. Move the feet around, whatever you did on the first side, just explore that here. And then hug that knee back towards the chest, both knees hugged in. Just find your way up to seated here, comfortable seated position. And as you find that position, just notice where your feet touch your legs. Maybe something you don't normally pay attention to. I think it's kind of interesting. You can even wiggle the toes around a little bit and just see what that feels like. And then take the arms up by the ears. Just take a gentle twist over to the right here. And then come through center, both arms up, take that over to the other side. And then come back to center, both arms up, just lower that down, take the legs in front of you, give them a little shake. And then find your way up into tabletop. And once you're in tabletop, just feel the tops of the feet pressing gently into the mats. And start to take some cat-cow, inhaling for cow, arching the back, exhaling for cat, curling the spine. And as you take that movement with the spine. Just notice how the feet feel here. Notice how the movement feels in the spine from the pelvis all the way up through the neck. And then we're just going to change the feet here and continue with cat-cow. So tuck the toes under and start to take your cat-cow. You might find that the end range of motion feels a little different with the toes tucked. It may not for you. I feel a difference with that slight change of position of the feet, which I think is interesting. And then from there, untuck your toes, bring your big toes together, hips to heels, come into child's pose, and again, just notice how the feet and the ankles feel here. These are shapes that oftentimes we notice different parts of our body, maybe not the feet at the top of the list. So I usually feel my shoulders in child's pose, my back, my hips. Feet might be a little later on the list of things that draw your attention. And then from here, come up to tabletop, tuck the toes under again, push the floor away so you're doming the upper back a little bit, and then lift the belly towards the spine. And then take a little hover of the knees off the mat, just a couple inches. Notice how the feet feel here. And then lower the knees down. Inhale, lift the knees, hover them. Exhale, lower them down. Last one, inhale, hover. And exhale, down. And then keep your toes tucked, just take your hips up and back. Come to a downward facing dog and start to pedal the feet here. And as you do that, keep sensation or awareness, rather, on the feet. Notice how the calves feel, all the way up to the hamstrings. So that whole back side of the body, really. You can even make your way up to the back, just to notice how the whole posterior chain feels here in this first down dog. And then find some stillness. Come forward into a plank. Just drop your knees down to the mat, slow lower down to your belly. Lift head and shoulders for a cobra. And then lower back down, press through tabletop, downward facing dog. And then really slowly take baby steps here so you can really feel your feet as you walk your feet forward to your hands. Forward fold top of the mat, holding in this first one, maybe taking ragdoll. And then bringing awareness, just like you did in down dog, to the feet. Maybe the weight distribution of the feet. Does it feel equal front to back? Are you leaning towards the toes or towards the heels? Noticing the sensation up through the calves and the hamstrings. And then release the hands to the mat. Take an inhale, lift halfway. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale all the way to standing, reach the arms up. And exhale, hands to heart. And then reach for your myofascial release balls. If you don't have them, you can sit on your mat and just do a little bit of massage with your hands. So that's intuitive. I'm gonna let you just do that on your own if you don't have the balls. If you have them, we're gonna find the center of the foot lengthwise and widthwise. So keep the toes, ball of the foot down. I think you can see that. And then that ball will be right under the center of the foot. You're just gonna lean your weight over that ball, light to medium pressure. So we're not looking to kill ourselves here. I'm getting cut off here. I'm gonna come back a little bit there. So gentle pressure. And then see if you can just take that ball side to side. So you actually take the heel side to side. So you're kind of right behind the ball of the foot. Right in the center of the arch. I know it took me a while to just feel comfortable with doing this with my feet. And sometimes the ball will get away from you. Now we're gonna take that ball back ever so slightly, like an inch maybe, or just to right in front of the heel. So weight And then finally, light scribble all around that foot. There's no right or wrong, just do what feels good. I always like to do my arch, but try and get all around there. And a lot of muscles in our feet. And then you can take that ball to the side. We'll try and use the second ball just to have equal use in each balls. But before we use the second ball, just come to mountain pose, close your eyes, notice how the right and the left foot feel. So I don't know what I told you which one to do, so whatever you did, maybe that one feels more grounded or warmer or tingly, connected to the leg. There's no right thing to feel, just notice. And then you can reach for your second ball. And we'll start in that same place, center of the foot, leaning into that with the heel down. Again, light to medium pressure. Just going to deal with my head being cut off here. I keep walking forward. And then take the foot side to side. I need a cameraman. Or camera woman, camera person. And then take that ball back a little bit. I think I did that a little differently on the first side, but that's okay. Toes down, maybe right in front of the heel. I think we had the toes down the whole time. Maybe you did that anyway. We'll take the heel side to side. And then finally that light scribble all around. Oh, that's my favorite one. All right, and then you can take your balls off to the side. Find your mountain pose at the top of the mat again. Close your eyes just so you can bring attention to both feet. Notice how they feel. Maybe they feel more similar. And then take an inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, fold forward. Notice how the legs and the feet feel. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, straight to downward facing dog. Take some movement in your down dog, just like you did the first down dog you took. And just notice if the feet and or the legs feel any difference. And then take one more inhale here. And exhale, walk your feet forward to your hands. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up to standing, reach up. And exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, step to plank. Holding your plank for an inhale, notice the feet. Hold for your exhale. Last inhale. Exhale, lower to your belly, you can drop your knees. Inhale, cobra, maybe up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. And then in this down dog, take the ball of your right foot to the back of your right heel and just use that right foot to gently press that left heel towards the mat. And there's no like end goal there. You're not trying to necessarily touch the left heel to the mat. I just like having a little bit of assistance with that right foot. Helps me to feel a little bit more in my calf of my left leg. And then we'll just change sides, the right foot to the mat, ball of the left foot to the right heel. Gently use that left foot to press the right heel down. And then unwind that, come back to downward facing dog. And then take your right leg up and back. Bring the foot between the hands, drop the back knee down, come up into a low lunge with your arms by your ears. And then once you're there, notice the feet. So ground into your right foot. Use that rooting of the foot to lift up to the top of the head. So you feel this long line of energy that'll help you feel nice and stable and hug in towards the midline of your body. we try to make it so complicated, and it doesn't necessarily need to be. Take your hands down, frame your front foot, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, pause in this lunge. Press the left heel back, lengthen the chest forward, long line of energy again. This way, this time to the side instead of up towards the ceiling, a little different than the low lunge. And then from here, step back to downward facing dog. One breath, inhale. And exhale. And then left leg up and back. Put between the hands, back knee down, come upright, arms by the ears. Again, rooting through the left foot, lifting up through this hop of the head, so you find that lift. Maybe even you find that you cinch in around the sides of the waist as you do that, sort of automatically. So all those core muscles helping you to stay upright. Everything's connected. And then take your hands down, frame your front foot, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Press that right heel back as you lengthen the chest forward. Maybe even think of pressing your back thigh gently up towards the ceiling, never overdoing it, finding effort and ease amidst each pose. And then step back, downward facing dog. You're welcome to hold your down dog or maybe take a vinyasa if you'd like. And then take your right leg up and back. Bring the foot between the hands for a lunge and just pause. Ground through that right foot. Use that rooting as you start to come all the way upright into crescent, arms up by your ears. Same thing applies as in the low lunge. Press into the right foot, lift up for this hop of the head, cinch in around the sides of the waist. And breathe. Do all that and breathe, right? Probably the most important thing is breathing, but you gotta feel like you can be stable to do that. And then take your left hand down to the mat, twist to the right, reach your right arm up. And then take your right hand to the mat, step to down dog for just a breath. Inhale. And exhale. And then left leg up and back. Foot between the hands for your lunge. Pause so you can root down through that left foot. And then take your time as you come up into crescent, arms up by the ears. And just notice how crescent feels. So it probably is a little less stable than something like warrior two, where both feet are flat, right? That back heel is lifted, you have less surface area to keep you steady. And then take your right hand to the mat, twist to the left, reach your left arm up. Well, I know we're not in crescent anymore, but I love crescent because it's a really great way to work on stabilizing the core, coming up and down, and even holding it. I realized early on in teaching that crescent's a hard pose for a lot of people. So it might not seem so hard for you, but it really is a great way to kind of get some balance in without being on one foot. That's my TED Talk for today. Take your left hand to the mat, step back, downward facing dog. You have time for a vinyasa if you want to flow through one, or you can just hang in your down dog. And from down dog, walk your hands back to your feet, forward fold at the back of the mat. And then maybe flip the palms of the hands up so you can sneak the hands under the feet. I did this with this newer student recently, and she was tickled by this. She was like, I've never stood on my hands before, and I thought, well, that's probably true. I do it all the time in yoga, but I don't remember the first time I ever did it. So maybe wiggle your toes, give the hands or the wrists a little massage. It's one of the reasons I like thinking about the feet. We're just coming back to basics here. And then release your hands to the mat. Take an inhale, lift halfway, and exhale, fold that forward. Inhale, come all the way up to standing. Watch your palms touch overhead. And exhale, cactus your arms, take a little back bend. Inhale, reach back up. And exhale, fold all the way forward. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, downward facing dog. And then take your right leg up and back. Bring the foot between the hands. This time spin your back heel down. Before you do anything, just feel what it feels like to have both feet flat. And then cartwheel your arms up, warrior two. And just notice how the feet feel in warrior two versus the low lunge or crescent. Again, now with both feet flat, maybe you feel a little more stable. And straighten your front leg, flip your front palm up, reverse triangle, right arm up and back. Keep pressing evenly into both feet, even as you move the torso. It'll help you feel grounded despite the fact that you're starting to lean a little bit back. And keep the legs where they are. Come upright, arms to a T. Start to reach forward, triangle pose. Right hand to shin, left arm up. Your feet should feel very similar in reverse triangle and triangle pose, despite the fact that your torso has gone from back to front. You're still grounding into the back foot here in triangle, using that grounding to lengthen the chest towards the front of the mat. You're starting to see a theme here, rooting through a foot and then lengthening opposite to the foot. Come up to warrior two. Cartwheel your hands down, frame your front foot, step to down dog. One breath here, inhale and exhale. And then take your left leg up. Foot between the hands, back heel down, pause for a moment, feel both feet flat, and then cartwheel your arms up, warrior two. As you're holding your warrior two, I'll talk about that. I always find that for me, as I transition between poses, finding my feet before I come up is very helpful. It changed my practice. So it's not glamorous, but really helpful. Straighten your front leg, flip your front palm up, reverse triangle, left arm up and back. And then keep the legs where they are, come up, right arms to a T, reach forward, triangle pose. And notice without me cueing the feet, what do you do or what can you do to feel stable here? Sometimes it's helpful just to explore on our own. Come back up to your warrior two. Cartwheel your hands down, frame your front foot, step back to downward facing dog. And then walk your hands and your feet towards each other, forward fold center of the mat. And just come all the way up to standing, reach the arms up by the ears. And take your hands down to your heart. We're gonna take tree pose twice on each side today. So the first side we're gonna take it, or the first time on the mat. So just our traditional tree pose here, bending the right leg, taking that leg into your variation of tree pose. Noticing how the left foot and ankle feel here. Trying to press into the big toe mound of that left foot so you can really find a good, flat, steady surface with that left foot. That will help stabilize the ankle and hopefully translate all the way up the body. And then slowly release that right foot down, changing sides, coming into tree with your left leg bent. And then taking that foot down to the mat, just shake everything out. And we're going to take that So starting with the left foot on the block, and if you don't have a block or you don't want to do that, you can just be on your mat. Right leg into tree. And just notice if that changes anything for you. It really depends on your block. If you have the cork blocks, it might not feel very different. Those are a little firmer. But if you have the foam block, they have just a little bit of give to them. So maybe you notice that foot and ankle are stabilizing just a little bit more, or maybe there's just a mental block or fear of standing on that block. And then slowly step off that block and just change sides. Stepping on the block with the right foot, left leg into tree. I think that's the second side. I just confused myself. Again, noticing the foot that's connected to the block. You can even notice the foot connected to the leg. Some people really like to think of the leg and the foot pressing into each other. I don't personally find that to be helpful, but some people like that, and I think it helps to hug in towards the midline of the body. Again, using the rooting of the standing foot to lift up through the top of the head. And then you can gently find your way off the block, take it to the side, come to mountain pose at the front of your mat. Arms by the sides, palms forward, close your eyes, notice your feet. Maybe you have a connection to your feet in this practice that you just don't normally have. And then take an inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, your way to down dog, vinyasa or skip it. This is the last down dog. And once you're in that down dog, just notice how the feet feel. Are the heels in the same position in relation to the mat as the beginning? Maybe they're closer, maybe they're not. It's not really the goal, but just notice where the heels are, how the feet feel, up through the backs of the legs, all the way to the back. And then drop your knees down to the mat. Take your hips back to your heels, come into child's pose. One last time before we let go of any awareness of the feet, notice how the feet and the ankles feel in this position. And then find your way up to tabletop, and then all the way back to seated. Just take your legs out to a straddle position here, and gently walk the hands forward. And again, there's a connection between the feet and the backs of the legs. So we didn't do this pose, obviously, in the beginning of class, but if we had, it may have felt different at the end compared to the beginning. And then come all the way back up, draw your legs together, find your way onto your back so you can hug your knees towards your chest. Keep the knees bent, drop the feet to the mat, arms by the side, setting up for bridge pose. Feel how the feet feel. I said I wasn't going to say that anymore, but I lied. Press into the feet, lift the hips, hold the hips elevated. Notice how much your feet do for you in your yoga practice. They are the only point of contact with the bottom half of your body right now. It's pretty cool. Lower the hips down. And one more time, press into the feet, lift the hips. I'm laughing at what I think is cool. Don't you miss me? And then lower the feet back down. Take your feet wide to the long edges of the mat. Let the knees knock in towards each other. Just notice how the weight shifts maybe a little towards the inner foot. And then gently hug your knees towards your chest. Take the arms to a T and drop the legs over to the right for a simple twist. And then And draw the knees up through center, take them to the other side. And then bring the legs through center, hug the knees back in, give yourself a happy baby. And then release that, come into any position on your back that's comfortable. Let everything relax here. And start to deepen your breath. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Circle your ankles and wrists. Reach your arms by your ears, final stretch. And then hug the knees towards the chest, roll yourself off to one side. Press into your top hand, come all the way up to a comfortable seated position, eyes closed, hands at the heart. When the root is deep, there is no reason to fear the wind. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. I hope you enjoyed it. I always like the classes about feet, and I feel like no one gets as excited about them as I do. So if you liked it, let me know.